Hello everybody, this is Jain coming out with a new tutorial. So today we're gonna learn on how to make action bars. So let's begin. Before we start making action bars, I'm gonna upload the assets to Dropbox or to the Facebook page, and I'll just show you the assets if I can find them. Action bar tutorial, and this is the action bar we're using. Again, I've not made it, so please don't use it again in any of your actual games, because this is not my action bar. I did not make it. I don't take any credits. And same thing with these pictures. These pictures we're going to use as to represent the skills. Okay, so first of all, you're going to go ahead and make an action bar script, which I already did over here. And we're going to go ahead and click it. And before we actually do that, we import, you need to import all the assets that I gave you. And let me just go over to where, so I have the folder over here. You just download the folder and drag it into your project. Where is it? Action bar tutorial, and into the RPG game folder. And drag that to your assets folder over there. So basically, if this is too confusing, just go over here and say import package, custom package, or actually not package, I mean just import new asset, and then just go to the pictures I just gave you. So just drag over the folder to your assets folder, and then you'll have where is it? Action bar tutorial, there. And then you're gonna have all these pictures, and you're gonna select all of them, and you're gonna do their filter mode to trilinear, and you're gonna change compress to true color, just so that the quality increases. And now we're gonna go ahead and make the action bar script. We're gonna let the void update be, and then you're gonna put in void GUI, or what was it? Sorry, I'm just coding after on GUI it was, sorry. So you're just gonna say void on GUI. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw the action bar. So for first you need a public texture 2D action bar, so that this is the texture, the actual picture. And then you're going to have a public rect position, and this is going to define the position of the action bar. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to say GUI.draw texture. You're going to say position action bar. Now it's good coding habit to make a separate method for this, so we're going to say void draw action bar. So we just made a new method just specifically to draw the action bar, so it's in its own method, draw action bar. And we're going to call this sorry if I think I might need to okay, yeah, there we go. I had to just zoom in. And so we're drawing the action bar now. But now we actually want our action bar to resize according to our screen size. So this position is not going to be its actual size, but it's going to be its relative size. Let me explain you. So let me just disable this. Once we play, I'm going to say I want the width of the action bar to be 0.5 of the screen, so 50% of the screen, and I want the height to be 20% of the screen. So whenever the screen changes, the action bar will change accordingly. If that doesn't make a lot of sense, don't worry, it's gonna make sense after I code this. You're gonna go over here and you're gonna say new rect, the new rectangle, and you're gonna say screen.width times position.x. So now you're saying, now this makes it resizable. You're gonna have the position x is gonna be a range from 0 to 1, and according to that, it's gonna place itself in the screen. I'll just show you once I play the actual game, and you're gonna understand. Times position dot y I'm just gonna explain you this code. And yep. So what I just did is I made a new rectangle and I set its x value to screen.width times position.x, its y value to screen.height times position.y, its width to screen.width times position.width, and its height to screen.height times position.height. And the texture you need to draw is this action bar. So this enables the action bar to resize according to the screen. Now if you don't understand, I'll show you. So for example, I want, you need to draw the action, you have to go to the asset folder I gave you and draw the action bar to the action bar over here. And I'm not sure if I said this before, but make sure to make all of them trilinear. The import settings and true color. And yep. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want the width to be 50% of the screen, so 0.50, which is 50%, and I want the height to be 0.2. And as you can see, it's always going to be 20% height and 50% width. Even if I see it resizes automatically. And 0.5, 0.2 works perfectly, and I want it to be 0.8. No, I want it to be in the middle of the screen. So 0.323. 3 seems to be good. Or 2.5, actually 0.25 makes sense. So if you want it in the middle of the screen, you want 0.25, and I want the y to be 0.8. So if you want the settings to be similar to mine, just copy these values over here. 0.25, 0.5, 25, 0.8 that was, and 0.5 and 0.2. So now it's always going to resize. Okay, so now that you have an action bar, you need skills to be put in the action bar. So for that, you need skill slots in which you're going to have the skills. So you're going to go back, you're going to make a new C# script, and you're going to call it skill slot. So skill slot is basically, as it says, it's going to contain a skill. Now what a skill slot is going to have, it's going to have a public skill. And if I remember correctly, we had skills when we made this. Special attack. Okay, we call it special attack and not skills. Okay. Special attack. And then we're going to call it skill. Let's call it skill. Okay. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have a public key code key. So every skill slot is associated with a skill and a key. Once you associate it with a skill and a key, whenever you press that key, it's going to activate that skill. If that doesn't make sense, it'll make sense in just a moment after I code. Okay, so now once you've done that, you're going to go back to action bar. You're going to go over here and make a variable, say public int number of skills. So this is basically the number of skill slots you're going to have. And then you're going to have a public, and you're going to have an array of skill slots. An array is basically a list, like a list. I think I've explained this before. So it's if you don't know what array is, it's just basically it's a bunch of skill slots. So it's not just one. This would be one skill slot, and this is going to be a bunch of skill slots together. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say in start skill is equal to new skill slot, and you're going to put a number of skills. So this means that I'm making a bunch of skill slots and I want these many number of skills. And for now it's going to be 4. Or we can actually set it in the inspector over here. So number of skills 4. 4. But actually, no. What we're going to do is we're going to take this variable off. And what we're going to do is, 1 second. Just going to delete this as well. Where is our player? our fighter is over here. Whoops, no, not over there. Player. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a init method, which means initialize. So we're gonna have initialize. So this is basically gonna initialize all the skills. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna say skill is equal to new skill. We're gonna say skill is equal to game object, or with capital G, game object. Make sure to put in capital G dot find game object with tag player, and make sure that your player is tagged as player. This is very important because then only you'll be able to find it. And then you're going to say dot get components. You're going to say get components special attack. And we're actually going to say skills. And then call this special attack attacks. So basically what we're doing is we're making an initialize variable method, and we're making a array of special attacks because we have a bunch of special attacks over here. We have like 1, 2, 3, and in fact how many ever you want to put in. That's your option 1, 2, 3. So in this case 3, and we're saying game object dot find object with tag player. So it's finding the game object with tag player, which is this one because it's tagged player, and it gets all the special attack components over there. And we have an error over here. Console. Oops, I didn't save it, and it should work now. Yep, okay, there we go. And then you're gonna call initialize, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a for loop. Count has to be less than tax, not length, then count plus. And in fact, before the for loop, we're gonna initialize our skill variable. So we're gonna say skill is equal to new skill slot. So it's a bunch of skill slots, and we want it to be the exact same number as the number of skills we have. So it's gonna be attacks.length. So now we have a bunch of skill slots which are the same length as the number of special attacks we have, because that makes sense. If you have 5 skills, you want 5 skill slots. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over here, gonna say skill, then you're gonna say count is equal to new skill. So basically now you're initializing each skill slot in this bunch of skill slots in this array. I'm gonna call it array because that's what you call it. And then you're gonna say new skill slot. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna say skill count dot special attack dot skill, is called skill, is equal to attacks, and then count. So you're assigning each special attack to a skill slot, if that makes sense. Okay. And then after the for loop, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say skill count 1 0 dot key is equal to key code dot a. No, key code dot alpha 1. Or let's actually make it to q. So now you're assigning a key code to each key. So we have assigned the skill, and now we're assigning a key. So you're gonna copy this 2 3 4, and we're gonna say 0 1 2 3 because we have 4. So then we're gonna say QWER. This is just basically League of Legends style. Okay, and it has to be 0, 1, 2, 3 because the size is 4. Okay, now that we've got this done, let's see if you have any errors. Nope. And then now what we're gonna do is in our skill slot, we're gonna have actually you're gonna go to our special attack from previously, and what we're gonna have is we're gonna have a public texture 2D portrait or picture. Let's call it picture. So this is gonna be the picture of the skill. Okay. And now we're gonna go back to our skill slot. Sorry, I'm jumping over again because I'm just remembering stuff. We need to have a public rect position. So this is basically gonna give out the position of the skill slot. Because it needs to know where the position is so we know where to click on it. So what we're gonna do is now since we have a texture over here, we're gonna go back and we're gonna go to our player and we're gonna assign a texture to each one of these. So we're gonna go to our action bar tutorial and just feel free to put in any of these you want to. So for the first one, I'm just gonna put a red picture, and for the second one, I'm gonna put a blue one, and for the third one, or the first one, because I did 2, 3, 1, doesn't matter, I'm gonna put this one. So my first one has the eye, my second one has an orange knife, and my third one has a blue knife. Okay. So now that we've got that done, in our GUI we need to draw the skill slots. So draw skill slots. We're gonna make a special method to draw skill slots. Okay. We'll go for, we're gonna make a for loop. Is equal to 0. Count is equal to 0. Count has to be less than skill slots. Oops. Skill. What is the variable name? Skill. Dot length, because we want to draw the skill slots and we're going to loop through all the skills. So making a for loop. And then we're going to say skill GUI dot draw texture. Oops. Then we're going to have a new rect. We're going to fill this rect in just a moment. That'd be 0, 0. And we're going to say, oops, sorry. I just lost my track of thinking. Skill dot skill count dot skill dot picture. Yeah, there we go. So what we're doing is we're going to the skill slot over here, and then we're accessing its special attack, which is skill, and then we're taking the picture of that skill, which is over here, this picture. So it's just basically traversing through this whole thing. And now for the new rect, we're going to do the same thing as we did over here, except that it's not going to be position over here, but it's going to be what is it going to be? It's going to be skill slot dot position. So since we're using this twice, we can actually make a separate method for this. If this doesn't make sense, it's going to make sense. Avoid or we're going to say rect. I'll explain this. Get rect. Get well, let's call it get screen rect, and then we're going to have rect position. So what this basically going to do is you're going to give it this position rectangle, and it's going to return this whole line that we're doing over here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to copy this whole thing, going to put it over here, and we're just going to say get screen rect position. I'll explain this again what we're doing. So now we just copied this thing and we made a new method, get screen rect, and then we're saying return new rect, and then it's gonna return a rectangle based on the screen width and height. And then we can do the same thing over here, get screen rect. We're gonna say we're going to say skill. We're going to access a skill slot. Count dot position. So this is basically returning the rect that is normalized to the screen. We're giving the position, and it returns a rectangle that is relevant, that is sized in terms of the screen. If that is confusing, just put in the comment and I will try to explain it better. And then we're going to say draw skill slots. If any errors. Nope. Well, that's surprising. And we have our skills over here, and what we're going to do is now we need to set these positions to actually draw the rectangles, but how to draw the textures. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to have a public float x, public float y, public skill x, so basically what's happening is we're making these variables so that we can define the position, and according to that we can actually draw each skill on the action bar, each skill slot on the action bar, and we're gonna have public float skill distance, and that's it. I'm gonna explain this. This might be confusing, but I'm gonna explain this in a second. So now that we have these variables, we need to set the position of the skill slot over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our update. Now the reason we're not using onGUI and we're using update is because you're not drawing textures, but we're updating variables. That is what you need to use update for. onGUI is for drawing stuff like draw textures, but now you're updating variables. I'm gonna say update skill slots. We're gonna make a method called update skill slots, and it's gonna return a void. So in this update skill slot, what you're gonna do is we're gonna loop through all the skill slots. Count has to be less than skill dot length, count plus plus. So we're looping through all the skill slots now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna say skill count dot position. So you're taking the position dot set, because you want to set the x, y, width, and height. And we're gonna say sorry, I just lost my mind over there. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say set, and then we're gonna say x, because we have our skill x. We're gonna say plus, this is a little tricky, plus count times skill width plus skill distance. And in bracket, remember, skill x plus count times bracket open, skill width plus skill distance bracket close. Now the reason we're doing this is because first we're going to have the skill x, so the starting position, and then we're going to do the count times the skill width, so we're going to have the skill width plus the skill distance. So this way we can separate our skills into the slots, if that makes sense. If it does not make sense yet, it's fine, it's a little confusing, but once I run the program it's going to make sense. So just make sure to copy this down, skill x plus count times open bracket skill width plus skill distance close bracket, comma, same thing, skill y plus count. Now in this case actually we just need skill y, because what's happening is we're gonna draw our skills vertically, so we need that over there, but we're not drawing it, we're drawing it horizontally. I'm sorry, I know I'm explaining it bad, but it'll make sense in just a moment. But just copy this right. And then skill Y, and then comma skill width, skill height. I'm just gonna explain this in a moment properly. And now that we're done with this, okay, we're gonna play and we're gonna try, make sure if that works, and we of course have an error. 1 second. Guys, I'll be back in a second. So of course, when we go back to our Unity and we go to our player, we have only 3 skills, and I'm trying to set 4 skills over here. So it gives me an error. And one more thing, make sure that skill slot is not a mono behavior. So you take out that semicolon mono behavior. Okay. Now hopefully we've got stuff right, or else, well, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the width, skill width to 0.1, and remember the range of this is supposed to be between 0.10 and 1, because this is also going to resize according to the screen. As you can see here, get screen rect, no, draw slots and get screen rect, so it has to be in the range between 0 and 1. So as you can see, once you put in 0.1, 0.1, it's already starting to draw the skills over there, which is good. I actually didn't expect it to work. So we have to set these variables in such a way that they fit in these slots over here. So we'll come back to set these variables such that it fits in these slots, and I'll come back. So as you can see over here, if you have these values over here, for skill X is 0.264, skill Y is 0.88, skill width is 0.04, skill height is 0.075, skill distance is 0.012, and then you can see it nicely fits in. Now this is only going to work if you have done all of the things same to me, or else it might be different. So now we have successfully drawn these skills onto the action bar, but they don't really do anything yet. But since the tutorial has been really long, I'm going to show this in the next tutorial. So good luck, guys. See you next time. If you liked the tutorial, please like, subscribe, share, and everything good would be nice. So guys, I'll see you later, and bye bye.